Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Chief Product Evangelist Justin Pava.
All right, welcome everyone. Who is excited for the afternoon session? All right, we have so many upcoming and recent enhancements that we had to do a whole additional session just to share them all to you. So I've got some bad news to start. I'm not able to use the t-shirt cannon, so we won't have that in the session today. I know John did some just a moment ago, so that'll have to tide us over. But instead, we have so many exciting things to show you about the Laserfiche product. Whether it's new AI capabilities in cloud, the latest version of Laserfiche 12 for self-hosted, we expect that there's something here for everyone in the audience. So I am going to be your guide in this session, but up first, I'm going to bring on our CTO, Michael Allen, and he will be sharing his vision about Laserfiche and give you the context behind everything we'll be showing today.
Thank you, Pava. And welcome, everyone. Good afternoon. I hope you're all having a great first full day of the conference. So Laserfiche has been helping organizations run smarter by providing tools to manage documents and automate business processes since the early 1990s. And of course, since that time, information technology has undergone some very dramatic changes. Because of that, Laserfiche has had to retool and rewrite its products multiple times since that first release in order to continue to provide our customers with the best and latest technology and innovation. Now, in 2014, Laserfiche's visionary founder, Nailing Wacker, recognized that the industry was facing one of those big moments of change, that cloud computing was the next big thing, and that Laserfiche had to bring its products into the cloud. But cloud computing poses some interesting and unique engineering challenges. So specifically in the context of document management and business process automation, there are some open questions about how do we manage and securely manage large amounts of content? How do we efficiently run long-running business processes and workflows? And how do we interoperate and maintain compatibility with software running on-premises that use data formats and protocols designed for a very different computing environment? Well, the engineering organization at Laserfiche met these challenges with intense focus with the goal of delivering a class-leading product. A key decision that we made early on was that Laserfiche Cloud was going to be a truly cloud-native system. So what does that mean? What does cloud-native mean? Well, take, for example, secure multi-tenancy. This is one of the key attributes that one expects from a truly cloud-native SaaS. And to do this properly affects every facet of the software development lifecycle and release process. So I'll be frank, the work required by Laserfiche to update its systems to harness the full advantage of cloud computing, it was enormous. It took us years. I'll give you just one example of that. Laserfiche completely rewrote the storage subsystem of its content repository to utilize cloud object storage and cluster databases. It sounds pretty complex, and I assure you that was a complex effort, but the results, the benefits, are really simple. One, massively increased scalability, and number two, much better security. So all that investment, yes, it paid off. And in particular, it has turned out to be absolutely crucial for Laserfiche to have updated its systems to harness what I think is one of the chief, or maybe the chief advantage of cloud computing over other cloud computing, or over other computing platforms. Namely, the ability to dynamically provision resources on demand. And the reason why that's so important is because that's a key capability to support the next big innovation that's sweeping the industry, agentic systems. So the original value proposition of Laserfiche Cloud, it was pretty simple. It was to provide a Laserfiche environment that was continually kept up to date, secure, and with a minimal IT burden. And of course, all that's been met. Years later, virtually every buyer of enterprise SaaS expects that. It's taken for granted. Now, Laserfiche Cloud, with its modern architecture, provides a secure platform to run trustworthy agentic systems to help you manage your enterprise's data lifecycle and business processes. So, agentic systems, it's a little bit of a buzzword, but we know AI is here, it's real, and people are using it. Information technology, multiple industries, and even aspects of society, like education, they are all undergoing a profound change right now because of the impact of artificial intelligence. So against that backdrop, it's probably no surprise that AI is having a dramatic effect on the design of enterprise document management. But considering the effect of AI on how we work, how we value different types of work, and that the full ramifications of AI on society are still being discussed and explored, perhaps the effect of AI on enterprise document management should be the least of our concerns. So we are certainly undergoing a time of great technological change. But one thing is not changing, and that's Laserfiche's mission. It's to accelerate how business gets done by creating software that people love to use. But in order for Laserfiche to continue to fulfill its mission, we must transform our products to fit the age of AI. So, our product vision is to help organizations transform enterprise content into insights, to empower individuals to make informed decisions, and to support the work of teams through intelligent workflows. So over the next hour, our team is going to be taking you through a tour of recent and upcoming product enhancements that get us closer to this vision. I'm especially excited for us to share with you how we built agentic systems into Laserfiche Cloud, how it's going to make you more productive, and how agentic systems fits into Laserfiche's overall vision for artificial intelligence. Now, for those of you who self-host Laserfiche, we encourage you to upgrade to a recent release. The most recent update to Laserfiche 12 was released on April the 16th. So this update, besides AI and workflow, contains significant updates to Quick Fields, the Admin Hub, Laserfiche Directory Services, and much more. Additionally, we've also recently released a brand new mobile app that makes it easier than ever to submit forms. It's available for download now in the iOS App Store, and it's coming very soon to Google Play. So we hope you like what you see, and we really look forward to hearing what you think over the next 2 days. Thank you very much.
So Michael, you just went over a whole host of items that you want to cover. What do you feel is the most item you're most excited about to share with our attendees today?
Most excited to share. Well, Pava, you really put me on the spot here. We should have rehearsed this beforehand. Gosh, and I'm up here in front of all these folks. I don't think I can choose. It's like, I don't think it'd be right. It's like a parent picking their favorite child. But I do have a favorite story to share about how we use Laserfiche at Laserfiche. But before I get into that, do you know the term of art that's used in the software industry when a software company uses its own products internally?
Yeah, it's actually a pretty funny phrase. It's called dog fooding.
Right, it comes from eating your own dog food. Isn't that a little gross? But I hear that the Laserfiche Human Resources Department really likes eating our dog food.
I just got to use some cool stuff. It was really cool. I got to use a lot of cool features, and it was very easy to create. And it was very easy to finish. And the whole process itself, which would normally take, weeks to do and, some of the project timeline, was down to nothing. It was because all those tools were so easy to use. I am Patrick Snook. I am the product manager for the Laserfiche Business Transformation Office.
My name is Sylvia. I'm the People Operations Generalist here at Laserfiche. In the HR field, we wear many hats. There's a good amount of our day sometimes that is just caught up in this administrative task our employees don't see on an everyday basis. But there's a lot of things that happen behind the scenes. There's a lot of compliance that we have to make sure that we're staying up to date. So essentially, I have to pull out the documents from a new hire, meaning their resume, job application, their offer letter, job description, all of that gets pulled into a specific intake folder, label them, and then manually start creating the personnel files.
One of the biggest problems we have is with data entry. period, if you have to type it, it just opens up a lot of human error. So there's a lot of ways that things could be inputted incorrectly.
There was a lot of back and forth with different managers, IT, new hires, and all of that.
We knew we needed to simplify our HR onboarding process, so we decided to overhaul it and use smart fields.
Re-engineering this process with smart fields was not a difficult task whatsoever, and we just wanted to put it all into one cohesive process that would do start to finish and not have to do all these manual steps. We spent around 15 minutes, half hour, looking at the different documents and creating fields that we would want with the natural language and testing it out to make sure it pulled the right data on sample documents. So what would have taken hours to type out, we did in a half hour one time, and now it can be used throughout the entire process. The fields that go onto a template using smart fields, you just need natural language prompts. So I always envision the document as a living person. You can just, if you can ask the question, it should be able to find it. When is this new hire supposed to be starting? It should pull the starting date if it's on there. Those are the natural language prompts you use. So you're talking to that document, and it should be able to find all the information you want. All that data is then used for everything else after. Welcome emails to start up new hire checklist processes. All that data is right there at your fingertips based off of a single template, or you can do multiple templates on multiple documents and combine all that data into one big area of use of data that comes out.
It really just helps us stay organized and making sure that we're in compliance with any new regulations. So with the new AI feature, it kind of does that automatically for us instead of us having to manually do it.
One thing I like to do as a business process developer is always think 3 steps ahead of what I need. So it's not boxing myself in, so we can always evolve these processes. We had smart templates come out. So smart templates, we just needed to update the template itself with a description and let it auto extract. So again, natural language, create what is this document, what should be in this document, so it can automatically apply that template. It's just extracting data. You don't have to recreate data. It's there. Pull it, use it later. Don't have to retype it.
That even though, like, yes, I'm capable of doing it, it's just allowing me to just work more efficiently and more smarter in a sense, as overall just creating a better employee experience for everyone.
When you have more time to do other things in your job, that makes me feel good because that's what I do. I make you work smarter, not harder. And seeing Sylvia every morning with this big smile on her face, I ran it again, I used it again, made me feel really good.
So smart fields made data capture 90% more efficient in our onboarding process. I'm excited to see what else is going to evolve as new features get rolled out.
So one of the key takeaways from this morning's session was that the way to really get past AI hype is to make sure that all the AI tools you're looking at have clear and concrete use cases. And that's why I'm so excited of how Laserfiche AI is bringing modern solutions to some of these same items we've all been struggling with for all these years. And to show you how you can start using all of these capabilities right now, I'd like to bring on Nicole Moten, Technical Training Manager.
Wow. Are you ready for Laserfiche AI? Because it's definitely ready for you. As someone who works with and trains users all the time, I've seen how you can transform the way that you work using Laserfiche. But now with Laserfiche AI, you can really transform the way that you work. I mean, you just saw that awesome example of how we're using our features internally to speed up that error-prone process. Isn't that inspiring? But can you believe that that's just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to what we can do with our Laserfiche AI features? Here, let me show you an example of a complex automated process and how we can make it even more streamlined with AI. Let's take a process like a vendor application process. If you're unfamiliar with this type of process, it starts off when someone submits a request for a vendor, and then we're going to collect some documents from that vendor, and finally, we're going to have people review those and decide whether we want to work with the vendor. It seems simple on the surface, right? If you've ever actually built a process like this, you know that this can be full of friction. From the initial submission, where we have a back and forth between the requester and the approver, to the next part of the process where we're collecting 5, 10, 25 documents, along with a volley of emails with deadlines and action items that we need to get done. This process is not nearly as simple as it seems on the surface. But luckily, we have Laserfiche AI, which can help us improve this process. We'll see how this will help us reduce the back and forth on that initial submission, remove those tedious and error-prone tasks, and get that information to the people who need to see it when they need to see it so they can make the right decision. You ready? We're going to get started with that first part of the process, where we'll reduce the back and forth on the initial submission. Now, our process starts when one of our team members submits a form requesting a new vendor. We need some key information, like why we need this new vendor. And in the past with Laserfiche, we could use something like a simple required field to make sure that we got the information we needed. But now with Laserfiche AI, we can instantly validate that the person gave us enough information. You've probably seen a request like this get submitted and then rejected it because it doesn't have enough detail. But luckily with Laserfiche AI, we can retrieve information and know we need more business context. We need prior research in order to make a decision here. And this can eliminate that time-intensive back and forth between the approver and the requester. This helps us keep this process going and moving forward, all with Laserfiche AI. Now, the next part of this process is where we need to collect all of these documents. And as I mentioned, there's a lot of documents and different types that we need to collect, and they're coming from various sources as well. Now, in this case, what we're going to be able to do is take all of those documents, no matter where they're coming from, and just drop them into the repository. Laserfiche AI is going to recognize these documents for me, saying, oh, this is the insurance document, this is the contract, this is the business license, so that as the user, I don't have to select all of that myself. Laserfiche AI has recognized these different types of documents and made this easier for me to go through this process. But what if I made an error and I uploaded the wrong document? Well, Laserfiche AI can not only choose what type of document it is, but look at the information inside the document and do more to help me lock down a document that may have some personally identifiable information on it. So in this case, we've locked this document down, and we'll have a human review it. So that way they can decide what should happen next. So we can take all of this information and pass it along to the next part of the process. But also, did I mention that this works for handwriting as well? Now that we've smoothed off this part of the process, let's see about that final step of getting the information to the people when they need to see it. In this case, I've received an email, and it's got some important action items that I need to get handled. I'm going to ask Laserfiche AI to get that information for me and put that into my metadata. Now, as a process designer, I know that that metadata is key to being able to build a process that allows me to assign tasks to different users with those deadlines. And so in this case, I've retrieved that information from that unstructured email, put that into my metadata, and I can create a process to assign tasks to these users so they can make sure they get these action items handled on time. But using just our processes, we can do even more with Laserfiche. In this case, what about if I'm a user who needs to find some additional information about a particular vendor contract? Maybe I need to find all the vendor contracts with an indemnification clause. But maybe the word indemnification isn't actually used in these documents. They might use terms like damages or liability instead. But luckily, with Laserfiche AI, I can just ask my question, and AI will be able to determine the intent behind what I'm trying to find, regardless of the search terms that I happen to think up. It can retrieve those documents, and then I can even dive deeper into those documents to ask questions and get my colleagues' questions answered. And then I can go ahead and move on with my workday. And so we've seen how Laserfiche AI can do more with our processes, helping us reduce that back and forth, remove those tedious and error-prone tasks, and get that information to the people who need to see it when they need to see it. This unlocks powerful new capabilities that we were never able to do with Laserfiche before. But if you're a kind of Laserfiche whiz in the audience, you might be thinking, well, some of that we could have done before. And yeah, some of it was possible. But the real excitement with Laserfiche AI is the powerful but simple configuration options for actually setting this up. It's probably a lot easier than you might imagine. So let me show you behind the curtain to how this solution was actually configured. We're going to start off with that first example of being able to grab information from that email. Using simple natural language, the same way that I would explain it to a colleague, I can say, hey, give me a summary of that email. Tell me the tone it was written in, and also whether there's any action items. I can even get some more details, like maybe I need to know which party requested a particular action item. All I need to do is ask that question, and Laserfiche AI will be able to get that information from that email. No finicky zone OCR or regular expression required. Just asking a question and getting the information that you need to power your processes. Similarly, with that security tag we saw, we can leverage our existing Laserfiche feature, and all I need to do is give a description of what I consider to be personally identifiable information. Laserfiche will be able to recognize documents with that information and tag it for me. There is no magic workflow running behind the scenes in this example. It really is just this tag, and it is that easy. But maybe you want to do something just a little bit more complex. Let's see that validation example, where we were able to check what somebody actually submitted on a form. Leveraging our existing lookup functionality that my process designers in the audience are probably familiar with, we can take the description that the user typed in, pass it to the AI, and make sure that it meets the requirements we need, and then even put the response back to the form so the user gets that instant validation to know, oh, I need to provide more information. And what do I need to do on the AI side of this? Well, all I need to do is click this button. All I need to do is provide the instructions to the AI for what it needs to do. For example, telling it that it needs to provide the business reason, the context, any prior research, and even telling it to provide the right format that I need to power those field rules that you saw on the form. This is better than a required field, less complex than JavaScript, and ready for you to start using right now. That's right, all of these features that you saw are available right now in Laserfiche. If you want to log into your account and create this exact same process, you could. Well, you probably want to take a couple of classes about AI first, which you can do here at the conference. But then you could go and explore some of these features right now. So I cannot wait to see how you are going to transform your processes with Laserfiche AI.
So Nicole, you're the training expert. How would you recommend people start learning how to use Laserfiche AI themselves while they're here at Empower?
Well, definitely taking a class, and there is a lot of classes, including our Introduction to Laserfiche AI class, which you'll very much enjoy. And I think we're doing a class too together, right?
That's right, it's the Level Up class. It's teaching people how they can leverage Laserfiche AI in their existing processes, in addition to ones that they would be starting fresh. And I owe you slides for that, don't I?
Yeah, what do you think I'm about to go do right now?
All right, so like Nicole said, all of those items that she just showed, Smart Fields, Smart Chat, AI-assisted classification, that's all available right now in Laserfiche Cloud, and Smart Fields extraction is also available for self-hosted subscription systems. But I bet you want to hear what's coming next, right? You want to hear what the next innovations are? Well, we've got some exciting things for you. And to share them, I'd like to bring up Scott Lingenfelter, our product manager for AI, to showcase what's coming next.
Hello, everyone. It is great to be with you here at Empower 2026. And I can't wait to share with you the next big thing in Laserfiche AI. You've just seen how it can help you understand your content, how you can classify, extract, and augment the things you store in the repository. But AI that understands content is just the beginning. The next big thing is AI that can take action. Let's think about something you could do in your repository, something simple. I want to identify some files, I want to apply some filtering on them, and put them into a new folder. So how would you do that exactly? Well, a couple ways. You could do it manually. You could search, view, select, create that new folder, and move things into it. And if the number of entries and the complexity of what you're doing is low, it's perfect. Immediate, simple, done. Let's go to the other end of the spectrum, though. Let's say you want to create automation for that. Automation is powerful and scalable and repeatable. But it also requires that you design it, and you build it, test it, publish it, maintain it. And so for these smaller needs and the one-off requests, it just may not be practical. And so at the end of the day, a lot of work ends up living between these two extremes. Things that are a little bit too big for manual action, but not quite big enough for a designed automation. But what if I told you there was a third option for how you could act on your content? What if you could just tell the system what you want to do, and it made it happen? Well, that's the opportunity that Laserfiche AI agents were designed to address. Laserfiche AI agents take your natural language requests and turn them into system actions, and they do it safely and within your control. Let's use a real-world example of agents in action. Let's say you're an HR department using Laserfiche, among other things, to maintain your training and education documents for your employees. Well, a new California law took effect this year, expanding the definition of personnel records to include training and education materials. And so to align with this new law, we want to move those records over into our personnel records structure. But manually identifying what needs to move and where it needs to go, that's tedious and it's error-prone. You'd have to identify each record, find where it goes, move it over. Find the next employee's set of records, find where it goes, and move it over. And the simple truth is, manual actions do not scale. And again, you could design an automation for that, but this is a one-off, smaller thing you need to get done, and maybe your process designer already has a backlog of things to do. Well, with agents, I can simply just say what I want to happen. In this case, move the training and education records into the matching employee folder, and let's put them in a new subfolder called Training and Education. All of this is entered through Smart Chat in a new mode called Agent that you see there in the bottom left. Now, before I hit go on this request, I just want to call out the folders we're operating on. The Training and Education folder is a mixed collection of employee training. The personnel records are within more of a structured, one employee per folder, multiple subfolders, HR records within each of those subfolders. Okay, so I select my folders and I hit go on my request. And the first thing you're going to notice is that the user stays in control of what the agent does. The agent is going to come up with its plan of action, but the user has to approve each step of it. In this case, it said, I want to create subfolders in your personnel records. I want to move things into those subfolders. I say OK to both of those. And when it's done, we go back to our training and education folder. All those records have been moved. I go to my personnel records. And for those employees who had training records, there's a new subfolder called Training and Education, and the training record's there. Let's do another one. Go to the employees folder, and in the subfolder, the Training and Education records are there. Pretty cool, right? So what used to take minutes or hours really now can take seconds. Without workflow design, you just state your intent, action, and results. So what you've just seen is what we're calling Laserfiche AI directed agents. Directed agents are named that way because the user directly controls the request and the approval of the actions in Smart Chat. So what can directed agents do? Well, as you've seen, they can take action on entries like move, copy, rename, create a folder, create a shortcut. They can also work with metadata. They can apply or remove templates and tags, including the auto-select templates and tags, which gives you access to things like smart fields. You can filter on metadata. But that's not the best thing about Laserfiche AI directed agents. The best thing about Laserfiche AI directed agents is that they're available now. Where's that t-shirt gun? We need it right now. So as an Empower exclusive, agents are being enabled in the cloud accounts of all Empower attendees. So you don't have to wait a month, you don't have to wait a year. This is available today, and we can't wait to see what you do with them. So directed agents are much more than you triggering repository commands from Smart Chat. If it just did that, that would be great. But agents understand intent, which means you can give them an objective, and if they have the right tools, they can accomplish the objective. So let's see an example of that in action. So here's a vendor file, miscellaneous vendors, including things like contracts, meetings, invoices, all mixed together in one place. And our goal is we really just want to organize this folder. Well, because directed agents understand intent, I can say something like, hey, give me a way to organize these documents. Let me show you what the folder I'm operating on against. I used a cryptic naming standard for all my files, so trust me, these are all a mix of vendors and document types. And when I tell my agent to go, well, the first thing it does is actually suggest a way to organize it by that cryptic document naming standard. And I say, no, thank you. I'm a human. I need something a little bit less cryptic. Can you give me another option? And so when it comes back to me, it says, sure, I can organize by vendor name. I can do it by document type. I can do it by date. I say document type. That's perfect. Let's do that. So organize by document type. And once you've done that, move everything into those folders. So it goes. It's going to tell me, OK, I came up with 5 ways to organize your documents. I say, go ahead. It then says, I'm going to move all of your files into those 5 categories of documents, and I say, go ahead. And when it finishes, let me confirm, when it finishes, it's got these 5 folders. You can see the names there: meetings, invoices, purchase orders, contracts, service level agreements. And when I refresh my folder, there they are. And when you go into each one, the matching vendor records are in those folders. One more, purchase orders, there's the vendor records. Thank you, Laserfiche AI. Okay, so for all of this to work, however, it needs to be trusted and safe. And so I've already shown you how the user remains in control of what the agent does throughout a directed agent session. But there are some additional guardrails on what agents can do. They can only operate in the permissions and privileges of the user who's invoking them. They can only operate on the content that's been selected by the user or is directly referenced in the user's interaction with the agent. They can only do the things that we allow them to do, the approved tools that the agent has access to. And finally, of course, agents' actions are audited. So the directed agents you're getting today have some great capabilities, but we're not stopping there. We're going to continue to update directed agents throughout the coming year. And just coming this summer, we're going to give it things like the ability to search, the ability to update metadata values. We're going to add more administrative controls. We're going to refine the user experience. They're going to just keep getting better and better over time. But we're not stopping there. We're going to take agents out of Smart Chat and make them available to process automation. Process agents are going to allow you to replace complex decision flows with a simple agentic action in your process automation. So imagine that you've got a flow that helps decide whether to route things for approval or escalation with an invoice. The process agent can replace all of that complicated decision flow if you just give it the context of how your organization makes decisions. We're not stopping there. After process agents, we're going to give you autonomous agents. Autonomous agents are custom agents that you can design that sit in the background and monitor the system for specific signals that you tell it to, and then it takes specific actions afterwards. So in this example, I've asked it, I'm in marketing, let's say, I want it to tell me whenever a document gets published to a certain folder that might bear on the marketing of Project Alpha. And so my agent will monitor that folder or folders, and whenever it sees something like that, it's going to put it into my personal collection. Now notice I didn't say that it's going to be performing a keyword search. It's going to look at things that may impact the marketing of Project Alpha. That takes reasoning, that takes intelligence, perfectly suited for our agents. And so then, my content is constantly curated for me. I don't have to go look for updates and changes in the system. I start to have things that are ready for me to work with as soon as I log in every day. It's truly going to be amazing. So what you're seeing today is just the beginning of a fundamental shift. We're moving from AI that just understands your content to AI that can help understand the way you work and move it forward. Papa?
Thanks, Scott. So I want to hear who's excited about Laserfiche AI Agents available right now for all Laserfiche Cloud Empower attendees. All right. Scott, what are you most excited about when it comes to Laserfiche Agents?
Well, I think it's the transformative nature of these tools. They really are going to change the way we work, and I can't wait to be part of that journey with all of you.
All right. Thanks, Scott.
You're welcome. Thank you.
So would you believe we have more to cover after that as well? So before we move on to the next segment, I'd like to share with you some additional features that we've been working on that we have available to share with you right now. The first one, like agents, is also out to all Laserfiche Cloud Empower attendees right now. And this is something you might have noticed Scott reference in his presentation just now. That's collections. So collections is a new concept of a virtual folder. It's an organization based on topics or content separated from the traditional folder structure just for you. So why is this important, okay? Your main folder structure needs to handle security considerations. It needs to handle records management. These are very important, but as we all know, those don't necessarily always match the document, make something be placed where it's the easiest to find right now. So a lot of times we found people when, they start their day, they're looking for the documents that they need to work on right then. They start by performing a search. They start by bringing up documents, having to find them, bringing them together in order to work on. And that's what collections is there to address. Collections is like your starred folders, but organized however you want. You can create as many collections as you want, add documents to them, and now you have an easy way to directly access similar content without worrying about where it's filed in the repository. Because this is a virtual folder just for you, it doesn't change where something's located. It just makes it easier to access quickly when you need it. You can name them whatever you want. You have full control over what gets put in them, and you can have as many as you want. Collections is the first step of providing a more context-based approach to organizing your documents. So instead of being limited by where something has to live because of security, compliance, records management considerations, you can organize it based on what you are working at right now. And where collections really shines is with agents. And you can easily collect, identify, transfer documents between collections through simple agent calls. So for example, here we have a collection that already has our vendor documents here, and we'd like to separate out contracts into its own collection. We can use agents to easily identify them, easily identify the contract documents and relocate them into the separate collection. So collections are individual for now. We have personal collections to start. But going forward, we're also looking to bring this to the organization and team-wide level to bring sharing into the mix as well. So this will just be a new way to work with documents within the Laserfiche repository. So another area where we've been providing a lot of enhancements recently, if you've been to the last couple Empowers, you're familiar with this, has been with repository metadata. We've added numerous updates, a brand new designer, new field types, conditional field rules, etc. And now we're adding to that another new repository metadata feature, field formulas. So repository field formulas will look very familiar to those of you who work in forms. They use the same form syntax, and it's a way to have calculations added into your fields to automatically perform certain operations with your data. So you can have it automatically setting an expiration date 90 days after the application date, concatenating a first name and a last name together into a full name field, or taking a table and performing mathematical operations on it, for example, an average or a sum of a list of items. So that is also available. Field formulas is available in all systems as of this moment. So not a today thing, that's the collections. Collections is the as of today. So also a preview of an upcoming item. We're continuing to evolve what can be done with repository metadata with dynamic fields in Laserfiche Cloud, tying them in to rules such as direct data lookups or API queries. So you'll now be able to use process automation, database, or API calls for dynamic fields, and as you can see, it's been incorporated directly into the metadata designer, so you're able to create, manage, and test dynamic fields right there in the designer. So this one is a preview. It's not out quite yet, but we've got some demos in the info center if you want to check it out. So in addition to all of these individual features, you may recall Michael mentioning that we just had a major update to the Laserfiche 12 system as well. So if you're a self-hosted organization and haven't yet upgraded the Laserfiche 12, you're definitely missing out. To tell you more about what's in that update, we have an example of a successful Laserfiche 12 upgrade that we'd like to share with you right now.
It is very important for us to be on the latest version of Laserfiche, as our customers can take advantage of the new features available across all the product suites. And it also provides long-term stability. With 30,000 accounts to manage, the ability to search by first name, last name, and email address has been a big time saver. The admin hub that gives us the bird's eye view of all the servers and connectivity information has been very useful for us in an upgrade process. For example, we can see the associated database names and such that we need to prepare during an upgrade. And the ability to customize the STS login page to post maintenance messages directly to the users has been very helpful for us. The test mode and forms is very helpful for us. That way we can vet the processes before they go live. The ability to restart instances in the monitor page is also very helpful for us. The field rules in Web Access, where we can hide or show fields based on the metadata information, is also very helpful for us. It provides more control over the end user experience. We have started looking into smart fields. That feature is going to be very helpful, and we are currently looking at how the way we can build the customer based on their usage in the case of multiple repository scenario. Laserfiche is always very innovative and open to our feedback. We've had a good experience migrating from 11 to 12. If you're not on Laserfiche 12, I would recommend upgrading to Laserfiche 12.
And for more information on what's in that latest update of Laserfiche 12, I'd like to welcome to the stage our product manager for Laserfiche 12, Brianna Blanchard.
Thank you, Papa. Hello, everybody, and good afternoon. As you heard, we just released our spring update to Laserfiche 12. It brings a number of enhancements and features that I encourage all of you on self-hosted to try out. In particular, we have things like new functionality, like field formulas and on-demand import profiles. We've added refreshed looks for some of our classic modules, like Quick Fields and Audit Trail, and we have a new Forms mobile app and updates to our integration tools. So you heard a lot about cloud today. Is it still worth upgrading? Yes, I think so. If you're looking at a migration to cloud in the next year or so, it's not necessary for you to go to 12 first. You can just go straight to cloud. But if you're anticipating being on self-hosted for longer than that, it's absolutely worth it to go to Laserfiche 12. Of course, this will get you all of the great features that you're going to see, but it will also get you things like important security updates. It will even get you some initial AI capabilities with smart fields extractions. And finally, for when you are ready for that move to cloud, it will help you be more migration ready. As you saw in the Texas A&M example, the upgrade is really powerful. Just because it's powerful doesn't mean it has to be hard. Starting with one of the things I've been told you're not supposed to get up on stage and show, which is an installer UI. But here we are. The new Laserfiche 12 installer shows all the modules in one place. You can see everything installed on the machine, and you can get new modules. With just a couple of clicks, you can install any of these applications, and it will continue on in the background. You can then go on to update your existing applications and anything else you might need to do, like run repairs. So this is all in one place, done just in a couple clicks for you in the background. You may also have heard about the System Admin Console. We've continued to iterate on that. In addition to providing a system visualization, we're adding in visibility into updates and the ability to label aspects of your system so it's easy to find anything at a glance. A last administrative update that I think is pretty exciting is the ability to customize your login page. This allows it to be familiar for your users with colors and branding and make a comfortable landing page for them all. But in addition to giving it your own look and feel, you can also put in things like downtime windows. So that way you can communicate it out to everybody at your organization easily. Another area where we have reimagined the customer experience is in our Forms mobile. We have started from the ground up with a focus on daily operations and a modern mobile way. To best support this, we've separated the apps into their core functionalities. We're pleased to announce the initial release of our new Forms app. It's available now. These are available for both self-hosted and cloud customers right away. So I want to show you what that looks like. We're looking at the Forms app here, as I said, and this allows you to perform your daily work easily, like viewing your tasks, going into those tasks, and completing any approvals. And of course, you can submit a new process. You can do this, including from offline, to keep things in motion wherever you are. And of course, it wouldn't be a mobile app without things like push notifications to tell you when you have an important update, and you can click on it to take you right to that task and keep going. The repository app will be coming later this year to similarly emphasize core features such as viewing commonly accessed documents and running location-based searches. So that's just a brief overview of some of our recent capabilities for Laserfiche 12. We want to make it as easy as possible to maintain and update your self-hosted systems. Even with all that, though, you might decide you're done with maintaining and updating your systems yourself, and you want somebody else to do it for you. Or maybe you're particularly excited about the updates to AI, including agentic capabilities. We've been hard at work making it just as easy to move your system to Laserfiche Cloud. We already have some great tools available to make it easy for you to assess, plan, and make that move to cloud. But just like we did with Laserfiche 12, we want to take it to the next level. So what does that mean? What do I mean by that? We're going to make our repository migration tools more intuitive. We're going to power up our partial imports like with Import Agent, and we're going to make it easier to keep working in self-hosted while you're doing that migration to cloud. For example, I'm excited to talk about the upcoming continuous replication. With continuous replication, work in self-hosted is automatically synced to the cloud until you're ready to make that final move, allowing you to keep working as you go.
All right, Brianna, is there one thing you want to emphasize to all of our self-hosted attendees in the audience?
Well, I think that it is really important that everybody get on Laserfiche 12. Being on the latest is really important.
All right. So that's great advice about upgrading the Laserfiche 12, but also, what if people are looking to go to cloud? You mentioned some upcoming items. Do people need to wait for those?
No, that's the great news. There's actually, like I said, a lot of great tools available now, and we're focusing, of course, on making it easier for those larger and more complex systems. But we have some great success stories right now, starting with one of our customers that will tell you how they got there today.
A couple years ago, our choice to move from on-premise self-hosted Laserfiche to Laserfiche Cloud was driven by a few reasons. First, came to infrastructure support. As our own data center and servers that we were managing on premises has dwindled over time, our ability to support the few resources left on premise was getting harder and harder. Another reason was around upgrades. For us, upgrades were always a process and didn't necessarily always go smoothly. It also meant working on breaks and hours that people weren't working to make sure that the systems were up and running during normal business hours.
Moving to Laserfiche Cloud gave me my spring break back because I no longer have to schedule downtime to upgrade systems and upgrade Laserfiche. I get to take a real vacation when everyone else is on vacation.
One of the challenges we face in education is around permissions. If you think about a school system with a student that has 7 periods a day, that means 7 teachers a day. That's a lot of permissions to figure out who needs access to which file.
So by leveraging Laserfiche's cloud API integrations, we build a just-in-time authorization procedure. Now, Laserfiche's cloud API connections let us integrate with systems where direct database connections don't exist, to e-signatures and cloud LLMs. Project Spaces is a big game changer. So in cloud, we can easily isolate environments where different groups can empower themselves to directly have secure control in their own specific project space. The AI features in Laserfiche Cloud are incredible. Using smart fields and document summarization, we instantly convert messy information into structured data. It empowers our people to make data-driven decisions today and lays the perfect foundation for AI agents to make our processes even more efficient.
So that showed an example of why and how you might move to Laserfiche Cloud. A question I sometimes get is, does Laserfiche Cloud actually work for my organizational needs or for the specific requirements of my industry? And to help answer that, let's bring up Senior Product Manager, Tessia Al. So Tessia, before we get started, we've seen some pretty exciting things today. We've seen Laserfiche AI. We had the announcement of agents. We saw Laserfiche 12. We even saw an installation UI demo on here, which I'm not sure how we got that one by. But what are you going to show us that's going to blow us all away? What exciting topic are you talking about today?
The most exciting topic of all, security, governance, and compliance. And I think we need some cheers for that.
You know, that might sound funny to some of you, but I always maintain that security, governance, compliance is actually probably the most important aspect when delivering new features and functionality. It doesn't do anyone any good to have features that they can't use because it doesn't meet their industry needs.
Thanks, Pava. At the beginning of this session, Michael mentioned that Laserfiche Cloud, the primary value proposition of it, was to provide a Laserfiche environment that was continually kept up to date, secure, with minimal IT burden. And as part of that, we need to make sure that the environment meets the needs of our customers. Well, meets the security, governance, and compliance needs of our customers. Whether you operate in highly regulated environments with strict security requirements, or you're a business, an enterprise scaling availability, business resiliency, and control across your many different departments and teams around the world. Well, we have something for all of you. So let's get into those key updates today. The very first key update that I want to bring up is in disaster recovery and business resiliency. I'm so excited to announce that Laserfiche will be supporting multi-region disaster recovery with near real-time account-level data replication. Woo! Yeah, let's hear some cheers for that. Last October, I remember I was on a pretty important work Zoom call, and suddenly Zoom went down for like the whole entire day. And that was all due to an AWS regional outage out east. Here at Laserfiche, we want to make sure that your work does not stop, even in the event of a region going down for an extended period of time. The second key update that I want to bring up is the security control updates that we've been making. We've completed several security assessments with both internal and external security specialists to map and update our controls to an industry-recognized benchmark many regulated programs are built on, specifically to the National Institute of Standards and Technology, NIST, to NIST SP 853 Revision 5. And along with that, we've been updating our security controls to align also with GovRAMP Core baseline requirements. What this means is that we are providing a consistent industry-recognized foundation for how controls are designed, implemented, and matured across key areas like access control, audit logging, incident response, and configuration management. It's not only about regulated requirements, this strengthens governance and auditability for enterprise customers. And it means that we keep advancing the security control program as cloud evolves so that you can focus on running your business. And last but certainly not least, we've also aligned our programs to support Criminal Justice Information Services requirements, CJIS, the security standard that law enforcement and justice agencies follow to protect criminal justice data. And we're on track to being GovRAMP Core verified, removing key blockers to moving regulated organizations up to cloud. Because I know for many of you in the room who are from the public sector, you already started moving your organizations to cloud. Whether you're a city, you're a county, your repository, your content, and your workloads have already started migrating. All except for departments like the police or sheriff, because they have this core CJIS requirement in order to do so. Now, with Laserfiche Cloud being CJIS ready, everyone can be within one environment in Laserfiche Cloud. And I think that's pretty exciting. And I hope you'll cheer again, because all these enterprise security features that I just mentioned and others are coming to you in Q3 of this year. So get excited, because we've been planning so many updates for you, and we're excited to host everyone in cloud. Because we know that organizations shouldn't have to run multiple environments, multiple applications, just because different departments may have different compliance requirements, security needs. And by expanding our security, governance, and compliance capabilities in Laserfiche Cloud, we want to continue to help you and your organizations unify on one environment and future-proof as requirements and security requirements evolve. So thank you guys today. Handing it back off to Papa.
All right, thanks, Tessia. Let's hear it again for security, am I right? And people said no one could top agents, okay. Anyway, thank you all for coming to our session today. I hope you're all as excited by what we had to share as we are for being able to share it with you. Thanks everyone for coming, and hope you have a great Empower.